Hello everyone, I'm here at Truck Fest to meet a really big machine, a monster truck. Whoa, look at the size of the wheels on that thing. One of my best friends is a monster truck and he'd really like to meet Big Red over here. Come along Max, come and say hello to Big Red. Who do you think is bigger, Max or Big Red? Big Red's only built for taking passengers on a ride on his back. Look how much fun that looks. But I'm here to meet a stunt monster truck. A monster truck that crushes and jumps cars. This is Swamp Thing, a huge monster truck that weighs as much as 2 elephants. Swamp Thing is 14 feet tall. That's almost as tall as a giraffe. Let's take a look at Swamp Thing in action. Three, 2, 1, go! Wow, just look at those cars getting crushed. The monster truck is so heavy that when it lands on the cars, they are squashed as flat as a pancake. Swamp Thing is a really amazing monster machine. I wonder what it's like to drive a monster truck. This is Swamp Thing's driver, Tony. He's using his tools to perform a safety check on Swamp Thing. He's checking that all the nuts and bolts are tight so that a wheel doesn't fall off in the middle of a show. Tony, what's it like to drive a monster truck?
To drive a monster truck, for me, it's the best job in the world. I saw it on TV when I was about 8 years old and I never thought I'd be doing it for a living. The feel you get in there, it's so noisy, so bumpy, but the adrenaline keeps you going.
How do you get in Swamp Thing?
Most people think you climb on the tyres, but I'll show you how you get in. It's fairly simple. Just walk around the side of it. Doors don't open. What you got is a climbing frame, and literally you just climb up on the inside. And then you're straight in the seat. Okay, how do you drive a monster truck? Literally, we've got one pedal for go and one pedal for stop. That's the starting and stopping. Now we've got to work out how to steer it. Front wheels is just like a car, turns in a steering wheel. Unlike a normal car, we've got back steering, so this turns on a joystick, left and right on the back. So who's ready to crush some cars?
Tony built this monster truck himself, using lots of different parts, from lorries and diggers. He knows it inside out. When Tony takes Swamp Thing around the country, he can't take it on the roads. So the monster machine has to travel in Tony's massive lorry. Swamp Thing has many of the things that a normal car would have, only they're much, much bigger. There's the wheels, the engine, the exhaust, the suspension, which gives Tony a softer landing, the brakes, the chassis, and the cabin. All of these things are designed so that Swamp Thing can jump like this. at that! That isn't just any bus. That's a double-decker bus. Look, there's a downstairs and an upstairs. I'm just waiting at a bus stop for the next bus to arrive. All you have to do to catch a bus is put your hand out like this, and the bus will stop. This is Brian, and he's the driver of this bus. He sits in a place called the cab. Here it comes now. Brian presses the red button and the doors fold open. This bus is special because it can move up and down to let people get on more easily. Red Mechanical? Where have you been on this bus? You've been playing in the junkyard? Oh well, I hope you had fun. Come on, let's get on board. You can fit up to 75 people on this double-decker bus. I think I'm going to sit upstairs to see the lovely views. Woohoo! I can see everything up here.
The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round all day long.
Here we are back at the bus depot. I'll just press the bell to ask the driver to stop. Shall we have a closer look at the controls here in the cab? The driver can press all sorts of buttons to make things happen. This button controls the sign on the front of the bus, which tells people where the bus is going to. This is the ticket machine. And these screens are connected to cameras, so the driver can see the passengers upstairs. These buses travel all over the city, so they sometimes get very dirty. Shall we put this double-decker bus through the special bus wash to give it a clean? It's time to use the water and brushes to clean our double-decker buses. Through this truck wash, our bus will crawl. Have you ever seen a bus so tall? Look at that. Clean as a whistle. Where do you think the engine is in this double-decker bus? Surprise! It's here, right at the back. And these buses are special because they run on electricity and diesel. When the bus is going slowly and picking up people from bus stops, the bus uses an electric motor. This makes it much quieter than other buses. Just be careful not to fall asleep on your way home. But even these buses need to be repaired sometimes. Instead of bringing them to Gecko's garage, they're brought here, to the Arriva Maintenance Garage, where expert mechanics can repair them. Look how many buses are being worked on at the same time. This bus is having a wheel changed. And here's another bus driving into the garage. It drives in and parks over a big hole in the floor called the pit. If there's something wrong underneath the bus, a mechanic can go down into the pit and fix anything while standing underneath. Or they can use a giant hydraulic lift to lift it up and make it even taller. When everything's fixed on the bus, it's time to leave the garage and go back out onto the road to take more passengers where they need to go. I'm spending the day with a real ambulance today. We're going to be having a look inside, then going out on the road with the ambulance crew and visiting a special garage just for ambulances. Ambulances are one of the most important vehicles on the road. They're used to pick up people who are poorly or who've hurt themselves and get them to hospital as quickly as possible. An ambulance really is like a mini hospital on wheels. Everything in the back is here to treat people on the way to hospital. Let's meet the ambulance crew. This is Terry, the emergency medical technician, and he's just checking the ambulance to make sure everything's working properly before call out. And this is Paul, the paramedic. Paul decides how to help the poorly person on the way to the hospital and can give them special medicine. Paul lowers this special ramp by pressing a button. The ramp makes it easier to get patients on board the ambulance. If a patient needs to lie down, Paul and Terry will use this stretcher. They can then wheel the patient up the ramp and into the back of the ambulance. These special seats can fold out so that someone from the patient's family can stay with them on the way to hospital. Paul, the paramedic, can use all of this medicine and these amazing tools to make people feel better. There's also a special hatch so that Paul and Terry can talk to each other.
Okay, yeah, it'll stay with it.
Over the radio, the crew have received a real call out. It's time to go to work. When a call comes in, it's time for Paul and Terry to turn the lights on and drive quickly to their patient. That means they're even allowed to drive through red lights. Paul and Terry's aim is always to get the patient to hospital as quickly and safely as possible. The crew and their vehicles work really, really hard, with these ambulances doing hundreds of miles a day. This also means that sometimes things can break. But luckily, a garage has been built specially for fixing ambulances. Have you ever seen so many ambulances in one place? The expert mechanics in this amazing workshop can fix around 25 ambulances a day. Hey, what was that? Blue Mechanical. How on earth did you get in here? You better stay out of trouble. It looks like there's something wrong with one of the flashing lights on this ambulance. So it's up to Tim the mechanic to fix the problem. There. That's better. Good as new. We can't have an ambulance without flashing lights, can we? After travelling hundreds of miles, ambulances can also get very dirty, so this is where they're given a good wash. Blue Mechanical, you better watch you don't get wet. Uh-oh, too late. Everyone, thanks. Gecko here. I'm back at the Hoylake Lifeboat Station with the RNLI to learn all about their amazing hovercraft. I can't wait to meet the crew and get stuck in. A hovercraft is an amphibious vehicle. Do you know what amphibious means? It means something that can go on land and in the water. This is Chris, and he's today's hovercraft commander.
Great to see you, Gecko. Coming into our lifeboat station.
It's amazing inside this lifeboat station. There's so many huge vehicles that are all designed to rescue people who are in trouble at sea.
Gecko, would you like to join us on a hovercraft training exercise?
Oh yes, please, Chris. To stay safe, warm and dry, the crew have to wear this safety gear. The helmet is actually called a Gecko helmet. Can you believe it? It's a real team effort to launch the hovercraft. Push, team! The hovercraft is very heavy, so a big tractor is used to tow it safely down to the beach. Then, it's all hands on deck to unclip the hovercraft from the trailer and pump up the inflatable sponsons, which help the hovercraft float on water. Then the pilot uses the engine to glide back onto the beach. Hooray! Wow, look at all of these levers and switches. It all looks very complicated. Nick is the pilot, and it's his job to fly the hovercraft. To start the engine, Nick turns this key. We can't see them, but underneath the hovercraft are 2 fans, which blow air downwards. This fills the skirt with air, making the hovercraft lift off the ground. Wowzers trousers! The big fans at the back are called the thrust propellers, and these push the hovercraft forwards. When Nick moves this lever, the rudders at the back move. It's these rudders that steer the hovercraft left and right. Nick makes the fans move faster, and the hovercraft glides forwards. Woo, that is amazing! As commander of the hovercraft, it's Chris's job to check all around and give Nick instructions to help him fly the hovercraft safely. It's so fast and it's so noisy. Now I know why these Gecko helmets have microphones and headphones built into them. They allow us to talk and listen to each other. It feels like we're floating across the sand. And just like that, we're on the water. This hovercraft is amazing! It's now time for me to hop off and let the crew do their training exercise. The RNLI is a charity set up to save lives at sea. And these training exercises help the team here get ready for real-life search and rescue missions. So, to be as prepared as they possibly can be, the team practice. Today they're practicing how to rescue someone who is stuck in the mud. Playing in deep mud near the sea can be very dangerous, especially if the tide is coming in. Now that's what I call getting stuck in. Tides are the rise and fall of the levels of the sea. This is something that's happening all of the time, which means that if you're stuck in the mud on the beach, the tide might come in and surround you with water. It's very important to respect the water and make sure you check when the tide is coming in, to make sure you're safe when you're at the beach. Well done, team. Another successful training mission. Oh dear, it looks like the mechanicals haven't checked the tide times, and they're stranded on this island. It looks like there's a storm coming too. Luckily, the hovercraft is the perfect rescue vehicle. Jump aboard, mechanicals. muddy the hovercraft is. All that whizzing about in the sand and sea is dirty work. Every time the hovercraft is called into action, the RNLI crew take great care to make sure it's cleaned up and ready to be used again. Here in the nice dry lifeboat station is the perfect place for the hovercraft to sleep for the night. I'm here at the tarmac quarry to meet an amazing freight train. Behind me is the locomotive. This is the part of the train that has the engine inside it, and it's where the driver sits. And these are the wagons. Wow! There's loads of them. Look, the locomotive is being connected to that long chain of wagons. These parts are called buffers. Buffers slow down the locomotive and the wagons at the last second and stop them crashing into each other. These big hooks are connected to each other. This is called coupling. These pipes connect the air brakes from the locomotive to the wagons. That's so the train can stop. Blue Mechanical, what are you doing in that wagon? Well, okay. I suppose you can't cause any damage in there. Please just stay out of trouble whilst I go and learn how you drive a freight train. This is Matt, and he's operations manager here. Let's go and have a sneak peek inside the driver's cab. So Matt, how do you drive a freight train?
Right, Gecko, thanks for asking. Very, very simply, we have a power throttle here, that makes us go faster. And if we want to stop, we have some braking systems. We have two. One, if we're only a locomotive by ourselves, and the other one if we've got wagons attached. If it goes really wrong, we hit the red button, and this stops us immediately. And for any naughty people we see on the track, we sound our horn to let them know we're coming.
This freight train works really hard, taking special stone all over the country. This stone is used to build houses, roads, and even schools. First, the stone has to be blasted from the ground. Big trucks like excavators and dump trucks work together to move this stone around. The stone is then crushed to make all of the pieces much smaller. But how do they get this stone from the quarry all the way over to the train's wagons? Well, inside these tunnels are amazing things called conveyor belts. They're a bit like magic moving carpets. They carry the stone all the way up and across to where the train's parked. And the conveyor belt finishes here, just above the wagons. The stone falls out of a chute into the empty wagons. Amazing! When each wagon is full, the driver drives the train forwards, ready for the next empty wagon to be loaded up. And that's it. The wagons are all full, so it's time for the train to start its journey. Oh no! I totally forgot. Blue Mechanical's still in one of the wagons. Sit tight, Blue. We'll catch up with you at the next tarmac depot. The train will now travel through this beautiful countryside for 2 hours before it arrives in the city, ready to be unloaded and turned into special building material. Freight trains are amazing because they can carry so much stuff. Over 30 houses could be built from all of the stone carried in this one train. More wagons mean less lorries on the road too, because this freight train carries the same amount as 70 lorries. Wow! And here's the train, right on time. This is the Tarmac Cross Green Depot in Leeds. The train drives along the tracks and into this shed called the Rail Offload Shed. This is Phil, and he's the rail offloader. He can talk to the driver on this walkie-talkie and ask him to stop or go. Once the first set of wagons are in the shed, Phil can empty the stone out. Hop out, Blue Mechanical, before the stone disappears. Woof! Phil pulls these levers, and the doors on the bottom of the wagon open. Wow, that was close, Blue. All of the stone slides out of the bottom, a bit like water going down the plug hole in the bath. The stone falls down below onto another conveyor belt, which carries the stone up and into the tarmac plant, where it can be mixed with other ingredients and turned into concrete or asphalt. That's the stuff that's used to build houses, schools, hospitals and roads. The final step is for big trucks to load up and take the material to building sites, ready for construction. You ever wondered how big trucks get cleaned? Well, we're about to find out. I'm here at a giant truck wash. These trucks drive for miles and miles, delivering important things all over the country, which means they also get very dirty. This truck wash is so popular that there's a queue of muddy trucks all waiting to get cleaned. And it can clean all sorts of different trucks. Big lorries, gas tankers, even car transporters. The trucks start by driving into the truck wash very carefully and stop once they're fully inside. The cleaning team begin by spraying special soapy water over the whole truck. This soap gets to work straight away, loosening all of that grease and grime. If the dirt is really bad or difficult to reach, the team will use long brushes to get to these hard to reach places. Then it's time to turn on the rollers. This huge machine is controlled from these switches here. The cleaning team select what sort of truck is in the wash, so that the rollers can clean the right places on the vehicle. There's 3 rollers in total, 2 that clean each side of the truck, and 1 that cleans the front, the top, and the back. The soft rollers wipe all of the muck away, and the spray nozzles rinse the truck clean. The huge machine that carries the rollers moves forwards and backwards along the truck on rails, just like a train would. This truck wash is very special too. The dirty water goes down the drain and is magically turned into clean water in this pump room. That means that most of the dirty water is recycled and no water is wasted. If there's any bits that the machine has missed, it's time for the cleaning team to use some super powerful jets to blast off that stubborn dirt. Look at that! This lorry's as good as new, clean and sparkling. Good job, team! See you again soon. Bye! If you love this video, tap here so you're the first to know about my latest videos. Thanks for watching. Bye!